The Scottish Football Podcast
from BBC Radio Scotland.
Hello and welcome to this latest edition of BBC Scotland's Daily Football Podcast. I'm Alistair Lamont and I'm sure many of you are already subscribed, but if not, you can head to BBC Sounds and make sure you never miss an episode. And this one should be a belter as I look forward to Friday's Euro 2024 qualifier in the company of a man who would much rather be preparing for the game itself than having to talk about it with me. But I'm delighted to say the Scotland and Norwich defender Grant Hanley is our special guest today. Grant, thanks so much for coming on. As I say, you clearly like to be playing your part in continuing Scotland's 100% record, but injury prevents that. First of all, before we look at the game and so on, how's the rehab coming on? How long before Norwich and Scotland fans can expect to see you back at the heart of their respective defences?
No, rehab's going well, but it feels slow to me. I think that's probably just the nature of it in terms of it being a long-term injury and getting your head around the fact that there's got to be a lot of hours spent in the gym rather than on the grass, but it's difficult to put a sort of time frame on it, but definitely going well. Definitely feeling like I'm, making progress. So no, definitely positive, and I've been on the grass for 3 or 4 weeks now. Obviously slowly building up, so we're on the right track. It
was an Achilles injury you got in April, am I right?
Yeah, I ruptured my Achilles.
Yeah, I think you've had to battle back from a couple of bad injuries in the past. How much, you mentioned the kind of getting your head round, how much does that, having done it before, having got back from serious injury, help the mental aspect this time around?
I think probably the longest I've maybe been out is maybe 3 or 4 months. So sort of to do one and everybody be telling you that, the physios, the surgeon, what have you, telling you that you're looking at 9 months. That was pretty tough to take. But I think I've been pretty fortunate in terms of I've always had good support around me in terms of family, what have you. I mean, the club have been first class. Just the environment that they create in terms of the facilities and the support you get, physios, fitness coaches. It's been excellent, and really, you do well not to succeed. You're really put in an environment where everybody's on your side and everybody's helping you. But like you said, first of all, it's about getting your head around that. The length of time you've got to be out, and then cracking on really and trying to make as much progress as you can as quick as you can.
The injury kept you out of the last round of internationals, away to Norway and at home to Georgia. I was just wondering what you're like as a spectator. That Norway game in particular was brilliant, or at least the last 10 minutes were. What were you like watching them?
First and foremost, when you're watching Scotland, if you're not playing, you're a fan. So, probably just like everybody else in terms of celebrating, and it was just unbelievable. And what I think everybody would agree, if we went away to Norway and got a draw, that would have been a great result for us. But to get 3 points there was phenomenal and put us in such a great position.
Has your Norwich teammate Kenny McLean stopped talking about that late winner in Oslo yet?
Probably daily mentions it. No, not really. Kenny's a really humble guy and no mentioned it at all. But what an iconic goal, and I'm sure he's probably not had many better moments in his career than that.
We're obviously in a brilliant position then in qualifying. There's a temptation to get carried away as fans or even journalists. Can players really avoid doing that? Is the old cliche about one game at a time a realistic one?
I mean, obviously it's easy for me to say sitting here and not going to be involved, certainly in the next round of games, to say that I feel quite comfortable in terms of we're in an excellent position in the group, and we've done unbelievable to put ourselves in such a strong position, and the lads have certainly achieved some excellent results from a player's point of view, and for the lads in camp, I'm sure they'll be keeping their heads down, focusing on the next game, and focusing on getting the points that we need to progress further in the group.
Well, Grant, your Scotland teammate Ryan Christie has been addressing that very same point.
We've started very, very well. It is only halfway in the group, and we've been on the opposite side of the coin and managed to claw our way back into group, so we know how it can change. So obviously Friday's a big game, and if you want to qualify for tournaments, you need to go to places like this and pick up 3 points. The kind of belief and confidence we have within ourselves as a group now has never been higher, and obviously qualifying for the last Euros, and we had that kind of slipped qualifying for the World Cup, and we were desperate to bounce back from that. And to be fair, I think ever since that we've been right back on track. So I think the group of boys we've got now, from experienced right down to the young boys pushing in, I think everybody's really kind of pushing in the same direction, and it's starting to show.
Grant, having beaten Norway away and Spain at home, Cyprus on paper looks more straightforward. Is the mentality in the group, do you think, to go and treat this as if it were, for example, Spain away?
I'm not quite sure that's how the mentality will be. I'm sure they'll treat it as we're playing Cyprus away. We've got to go and get our result here. I'm sure they'll have a game plan like we always do, like the manager and the coaching staff have done so well. Certainly since I've been involved, in the current setup. So I think the most important thing will be, sort of ignoring all the noise that goes around it and taking the game for what it is. It's 90 minutes of football where at international level where it's going to be difficult, but where we need to stick to the plan and go and try and get a result.
In your absence, the back three against Norway and Georgia was Porteous, Hendry and Tierney. Scott McKenna's back available again. John Souttar's played all but the League Cup game this season for Rangers. Do you like the options Steve Clarke has at centre-back at the moment?
No, of course. I think, like you just mentioned there, the lads, the last couple of games that played in those positions were excellent. Definitely feels like we've got strength and depth in those positions as well, which is, excellent for the side going forward. And I think, not just those positions. I think you look at the whole side now and the whole team and the squad. It's, there is, major competition for places, which, overall is excellent for the team as a whole.
Your other Norwich teammate, Angus Gunn, has come in and looked like he's been playing international football for years, conceding just the one. That was the Erling Haaland penalty in the 4 caps. I take it that form hasn't surprised you at all?
No, I think our lads that know Gunny, or people that have watched Gunny play, will know what his abilities are, and he's shown people that, and he's since he's been involved with Scotland. I kind of joked to him after the Spain game that it's not always like this playing for Scotland when we're after the game celebrating a good result, but looking forward to the games coming up as well, and looking forward to a lot more caps for him.
What role exactly did you play in getting him to commit to Scotland? I know you had at least some kind of encouraging words.
No, I think, Gunny's a big boy and he'll make his own decisions, but, certainly myself, Kenny, probably even wee Billy, when Billy was at Norwich for that year, we're certainly in his ear, to come play for Scotland. But, like I said, Gunny's a big boy. I'm sure his all man had something to do with it as well. Glad that he made that decision, and, it looks like he's enjoying himself.
Yeah, it certainly does. Steve Clarke's influence must have also been massive, you'd have thought. Can you put your finger on what he's done more generally to bring about the improvement he has in both performances and results?
Difficult, to really put your finger on it. I think in general, obviously, it's the setup as a whole is, improved, and it keeps on improving. Really get that feeling of being at a club side when you're playing with your national team. It's understandably sometimes quite difficult to create. Feels like all the lads are in it together, and it really feels like they've created a culture there and created a real togetherness, and which having success does help with that. Obviously qualifying for the last Euros was a major part in creating that sort of togetherness and that team spirit. But no, I think as well, obviously the senior lads in the side, Robbo springs to mind in terms of what he does, and really try to create that club feel about playing for your national team. It
is such a talented squad when you look at it now, and you mentioned Andrew Robertson, for instance, and the likes of him and Callum McGregor and John McGinn are all really probably at the peak of their powers, if you like. It's such a strong squad, to the point that players like Lewis Ferguson, a regular in Serie A, can't get into the team. He's also been talking to BBC Scotland.
The competition's great. Everybody's playing at a good level for their clubs, and we've got some real quality, some good experience, but also some good quality young players coming through. But competition is really strong among the starting places, and that must make it difficult for the manager, but it's a good problem to have, and it's a good thing for the country as a whole to have so many talented players. You want to play as much games as possible, so to do that you need to be playing at a good level for your club, and I feel as though I've been doing that. But so for the other lads, and the lads that have been there and done it, they've been playing really well, and we've had great results recently. It's just about keeping up the standards for the squad as a whole. For the game on Friday, it's all about getting 3 points, So we just need to keep going, keep pushing. Nothing's done yet.
Grant, you played all three at the last Euros, but what would it mean to you to be able to get back fit, obviously, and then be part of a Scotland squad that qualified, perhaps particularly because, if we could do it automatically to get back to another major tournament?
Back-to-back Euros, obviously, if you'd have told us this a few years ago, it would have been, unthinkable, really. So I think that shows, how far we've come to start with, as a team. But for me personally, obviously, it's certainly been the highlight of my career so far, playing in the last Euros, and everything to get there again. From a personal point of view, I feel like I've missed out on some of my Scotland career and not been as successful as I would have liked to be. So, certainly some lost time to make up for, and you're in the situation that I'm in at the minute in terms of injury. It probably, makes you appreciate those times more when you're fit. And being honest, I'm certainly not getting any younger. So, you've got to take these opportunities when they come. Yeah,
you're on 48 caps as well. So, hopefully all being well, when you get back fit and get back up to that level, that must be a real motivation for you to get back playing and be able to hopefully get those caps in time to be part of Euro 2024.
Everybody knows, it's so important to be fit and to be playing regular club football to stand a chance at getting into your national team. So now, obviously, in my mind, that's first and foremost is getting fit and then getting back into the team, getting some minutes in the pitch at Norwich, and hopefully, get myself back into the Scotland setup. Just
to wind up, it must also be a little bit painful not having the chance to line up against England next week. The England game was certainly Scotland's best performance at the last Euros. What chance do you give us of beating England for the first time since 1999?
I think the lads will obviously take the game very seriously in terms of it's a game against a rival. It's almost like a derby sort of fixture, and both sets of players will be right up for it. So, we've touched on there the strength and depth we've got in the squad, the quality we've got in the squad. So, I fancy us, especially at home, to get a result. Well,
we'll have live coverage of the England game and, more importantly, perhaps the Cyprus game across BBC Scotland platforms. Grant, many thanks for joining us on the Daily Football Podcast, and all the best for your continued recovery. And thanks to the rest of you for listening.
The Scottish Football Podcast
from BBC Radio Scotland.